Welcome to the Eagle Eye Podcast. The #1 show to bring you all things Club America and English.
Oh, what a strike! Club America!
Your hosts for today are Ivan Pineda, Cristian Rosendo, Alexis Juarez, and everyone's favorite cowboy, Dylan Jimenez. Go! Now let's hit the field and start the show.
America! Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Eagle Eye Podcast. We're just going back to back this week. Welcome to our Lady Aguilas podcast, where we'll be talking all things America Femenil, and we'll be recapping that great 3-1 victory, right, AJ, against Pumas Femenil in the Clásico Capitolino. And then, of course, we're going to be previewing the upcoming match on Sunday away on the road against Atlético San Luis. And as you guys already heard, today, my co-host is, as always, it is Brooklyn's very own AJ. AJ, how are you, my man, on a Friday? First time we ever do this on a Friday, I think.
Yeah, it's on a Friday. It's a bit weird, but then, when it's podcast days and anything Lady Aguilas, I'm like, oh, I'm ready for it. But everything's going well. Got a bit of a run earlier this morning, so, get the blood pumping, de-stress those muscles, all that, and here I am now, ready to talk everything Lady Aguilas.
Definitely. And we're going to talk about that amazing comeback that was against Pumas, and I think that's a true testament of what these ladies have, capable of making happen out on the pitch. And we'll get into that in just a second. We have a little bit of maybe Coapa news updates. You'll tell us more of that in regards to that, and then, of course, we'll preview the game against Atlético San Luis. But okay, AJ, let's start off with that recap of the Clásico Capitolino. We came into this one a little bit timid, not knowing exactly what America we're going to get. Were the ladies going to show up, or were they actually going to want this more than Pumas? We had Eugene on last podcast to really kind of dive in and really break it all down. We kind of, you were a little bit more optimistic. You predicted a victory. I said a draw. Eugene went for the Pumas win. But I think no one really could have predicted what we saw last week with the ladies. Just kind of give me your overall thoughts in regards to how that game played out. Going from losing in the first half to then, turning around in the second and looking like a completely different squad.
Just that first goal that happened for Pumas when it was a golazo, top bins, long range shot. I'm like, oh no. I feel like that's exactly what Gene was going to say. They're going to score one goal, then they're going to park that bus and not want to move around at all. That didn't happen to be the case in the second. I've seen like America just realize they're going to try to do that. They're going to try to keep that clean sheet, and we're not going to let that happen. So when that second half came, they knew they had to start doing everything to their abilities to get the goal, and it happened. In the 62nd minute, Montse Hernandez was taking a set piece to put the ball in the box. It ended up becoming an own goal by Edna Santamaria, and I'm like, yes, they finally conceded. Now that's 2 goals, and that's Amelia Villeta's first goal conceded. And then just 2 minutes later, Daniela Espinosa gets across from Jocelyn O'Hare herself. It deflects off Dani Flores. She passes the ball right to Daniela Espinosa, scores to make it 2-1. And I'm like, yes, this is what you need. And then just 3 minutes later, you just see Montse Hernandez from her half of the pitch said, I'm going to go run up. I'm going to challenge everyone that's in my path. Making her way all the way into Pumas' box, single-handedly just passes by defenders and scores an easy goal to slot the third goal for America Femenil. And that was game, set, match at that point. Pumas had no clue what hit them, and we secure all 3 points at home. And seeing from that result, I was very happy. It's probably the first time in a while this year I'm like, I'm happy with this result. Thank goodness.
Definitely. I think it was smiles all around, because I think it was a home game. It was a Clásico Capitolino, and overall, we just needed to see a response from this team, right? Kind of the ups and downs of this season had looked like they were taking a toll with these ladies, but the result could mean the world. Really, it could be the kickstart that they need now to push on and close out the season on a high note. We know that the games are not going to get any easier. We have some really tough opponents to still go by. I mean, yeah, they may not be doing the best, but you still have the Tigreses, the Monterreys, the Chivas is still left in your schedule. And this is a perfect match to then kind of lift your morale and say, look, if we were able to do this and we're not even at 100%, imagine what we can do if we can get there. So I think that's really overall the positives that we're taking away from this. But I want to ask you, AJ, because of course you covered this game for us, and it was a little hard for me to, watch this game. But for you, what did you what do you think changed? What shifted for America in the second half, where things just went our way? What do you think that there was a certain maybe attitude that was that was kind of maybe applied, or I don't know, did something change, something shift in America's direction? What do you think? What do you think went right for America in this game?
I think it's that they just never gave up, even despite conceding the first goal from that first half. They were desperate to score. They had more chance than Pumas, and we know how Pumas play. Once they get that first goal, they're going to stay all the way back and build a fortress behind their goalkeeper to make sure that the other teams cannot get that ball into the back of the net. And America Femenil did not give up. In anything, we essentially kept the majority of the players from the 3 goals that we scored before we decided to make substitution, and that's a good thing. Guerrero felt like my starting 11 is definitely capable of scoring goals against Pumas. I'm not going to switch nothing. The players knew what they needed to do. Guerrero did everything to his ability to try to implement strategies or anything into this game that could allow him to get the goal. And it seemed that ended up being the case. Like I mentioned, this team did not give up. They had a lot of corners compared to what Pumas, crosses, I should say, compared to what Pumas had. Pumas only had 7 crosses, while America Femenil, knowing how they like to cross the ball a lot, 17. They were doing everything to their ability to find whoever was in that box to try to get the ball on their head or on their feet and slide to the back of the net. And it working out. Look how that first goal happened for America Femenil. It was off of a set piece across into the box, and they're becoming a goal of our own. And I feel like from there, maybe Pumas didn't know, okay, so we conceded a goal. Now, how do we prevent from scoring more goals? And I feel like they just were not ready in that case. The fort just finally crumbled, and just everything just started falling apart. And from there, America took advantage of it. They finally scored against Mary Vieira, a goalkeeper who has not conceded any goals this season until in this game. That's 3 goals she conceded in the span of 5 minutes. And she must have been wondering what just happened. It's not minutes not passed by. Wait, chill. I'm trying to process everything what's happening. But it's just great to see that I'm seeing how Guerrero doesn't do the panic substitutions or just try to make cautious substitutions. You feel like my starting 11, they're good. I don't need to implement anything yet. There's no need to. And that's good. All these players I feel like they were 100% throughout this entire match. No one felt sluggish. No one felt off. I feel like most of them were on their A game that day against Pumas, and the result goes to show it.
No, definitely. I think you're right. Things just actually ended up, going well for the team. And, you mentioned Cuellar, and I think that's someone that maybe we should talk about in a bit because, this whole trend of hashtag fuera Cuellar, but yet again, man proves himself worthy after coming up with a big victory against a huge rival. And not to say that where Pumas is at exactly on the table, it doesn't, it helps certify the fact that he's like, okay, maybe he still has a little bit left in him. But did you think that this victory should be chucked up to Cuellar, or do you think that this was more of a match where the girls were a little bit more gritty, that they wanted it a little bit more, they were a little bit more hungry than the Pumas players, and maybe this was more of a team effort that went right rather than maybe a tactical masterpiece by Cuellar?
I feel like this was a team effort, really. Cuellar, he has the plans. He's the manager. He knows what he's going to implement onto the field from the starting minute to get his team the victory. And the ladies out here, they do what they do best, and that's balling out right on the pitch. And they went on to prove it. It seemed like everyone there, they were in good spirits and good morale. Everyone wanted a win. It's the Clásico Capitalino, first of all, and it's a Clásico. So it's already tense from the get-go. Since that ball gets rolling and the whistle is blown, both of these teams are going at it and want to score goals against each other. And these ladies kept that in the back of their head. It's a Clásico. We want those 3 points. And we want to show Pumas that we're the better team at the end of the day. And they did that exactly. They broke Pumas' clean sheet pretty much. They thought they were going to get a clean sheet, and look what happened. 3 goals happened in that match. Manny Vieira, she conceded those 3 goals finally. The only Goku, which I'm pretty sure has yet to concede a goal, it happened all in one game. They made a Puma side that everyone looked to be unstoppable in defense, and America Femenil just proved that it's like, no, they're breakable, and we know what we got to do. And look what they did exactly. And everyone just celebrated every single goal. Even the own goal that Ana Gabi thought that she scored, everyone just high-fived as she did when everyone knew it was her own goal. But I felt like maybe that was something behind it. That was to give her that confidence booster. It's like, good. You actually made Santa Maria go forward against you to make that mistake instead of Ana Gabi herself having to put herself in that position to try to head the ball. And it was perfect. It played out just well. And then from there on, like you said, the floodgates just opened. After we kept scoring goal after goal, everyone was out there just giving hugs to one another. I think even Cuellar looked actually happy. Like he had his entire staff gang together. It's like, oh my goodness. I think this man's actually smiling, showing emotions for once. It reminds me of Turco Mohamed back in America when this man never celebrated. If it's a goal, he's just like, go to Tuca Ferretti. If it's a goal, he's like, okay. But just it's good just to see things like this, especially from Cuellar, with a lot of people are criticizing. And I feel like with this game, people's like, okay, maybe this is the turnaround point where everyone's like, for Cuellar first, we get a good string of games going. They're like, okay, this man can stay. If he can take us to the final now and lift that trophy, you're secure for maybe another season or two.
Yeah, and I think you're right in that aspect that and I know a lot of people might listening to this like, well, that's a bit of a stretch with the way that this season's been going, but I think that that's the only way he can keep his job, to be honest. If he can get us to the final and win as a trophy, then he stays. But if he doesn't, then I think that America needs to look to part ways with this man. It's not to say that we were discrediting him 100% from this victory, but I do feel like maybe we chuck it up a little bit more to the ladies rather than Cuellar. But I think you mentioned it. Could this be the turning point, right? Could this be kind of the thing where we say, this is where it turned around for America? And I think now it's up to the ladies to decide how far they want this season to go to. I think we won't have unrealistic expectations as we did maybe prior to when this season first started. Not to say that they were unrealistic when the season first started, saying that America could get to the final. But now I think maybe we just have to kind of taper that expectation and say, can we at least make it into a top 4 position and then see what we can make do with that. But it is interesting. It's nice to see that the team has been, posting a little bit more together stuff, and then there's a certain vibe that's coming back to Coapa with these ladies that I think was missing, and maybe they found a little bit after this Pumas game. So just round of applause, and we knew that the international break was maybe going to be the right thing that America needed, and hopefully it is, because now, like I mentioned, I know we have Atletico San Luis next, and maybe on paper that looks like a little bit more of an easier matchup, but it's a road match, and we know that maybe on the road we haven't looked our greatest, and so if you can continue that good run of form, if you can continue that with a good spell at San Luis, then I think that these upcoming matches that are going to get a little bit harder and harder, maybe we go into that a little bit more confident than we would if we didn't have these results to back it up. So, I mean, for the most part, it's nice to see that America walks away with the 3 points, especially because it's a Clásico. There's a lot of bragging rights involved in this, and so the important part is that America gets the 3 points. And we look forward into the season, and we just keep it moving. That's all we got to do. Just keep it moving and see what happens from there. But AJ, anything else you want to add on in regards to this America versus Pumas recap?
A player that I have in mind, despite her not scoring that many goals, but she's been assisting a lot on the pitch, and that's Danny Flo herself. In 7 games, it's only 1 goal she scored, but she's assisted 4 times. And that's really good. And despite a forward, even though their job mostly is to just score goals, if you can't score a goal, why don't I just assist and 1? And that's always good. And if you look at Danny Flo, she's unselfish. She likes, if she can find a teammate to give the ball to and say, hey, finish it off. That's your goal. She do it glide and look. And that's exactly how the second goal for America Femenil happened. I felt like she was going to try to, go for a vibe, but she's like, nah, I'm going to just kicked the ball back. She ended up falling. Danny Espinosa found the ball, scores, and Danny was like, I'll take it. Good. If it gets to that second hole, it doesn't matter. But I feel like she's going to be, Sorry, being a number 9, she's one of those players that just likes to assist whoever's up front. I feel like maybe she's trying to help Daniela Espinosa get her confidence back. It's been a bit of a tough start for her this season, and I feel like, being the newcomer in this club, you always got to do anything you can to your ability to help the team out and get the 3 points at the end of the day. Even if you don't score goals, if you're the player that's providing the help on the pitch and helping your team and helping your teammates out, secure the win, help them score goals, that's good. And she's going to be a really unselfish player, and that's qualities you'd like to see in a player. Someone who is unselfish and likes to help out on the pitch.
Definitely. I think that Danny Flo is maybe coming into her role a little bit more. And look, we can only speculate to what Goyard is asking these players to do, but if her role is more of an assister rather than a scorer, and she's checking all the boxes, then, who's to say that, she's not the right player for America going forward with this team? We know that there's kind of, there has to be more kind of a squad that is cemented throughout the seasons, because I think we're tired of seeing the 10, the 15 players that let go every season, right? Maybe we can cut that down to 5 to 6. Then I think that's much better. And players like Danny Flo who come in and know that maybe they don't have this lucrative, long, extensive contract, and maybe are playing year to year here, or 2 years, whatever the contracts may be. For her to be doing that and really playing to the style that maybe Cuellar wants her to, then I think that's a very positive on that aspect as well. So positives for Danny Flo and positives all around. I think Jocelyn got into the team of the week, and so I think that's good. How you liking her in that left back spot?
Left back spot, I'm actually pretty confident in her in that spot, because she has featured on that spot as well in La Selección Nacional for the women's team. And I think now at a left back, you usually want someone that's not so tall, that has a lot of pace. But I feel like Jocelyn, I think she just hits those requirements as well. She's 6 foot. You know that there's any wing that's going down to that spot, they got to face her. And she's already a tough defender to get passed by as is. And her defensive ability, it's great. And you see her from time to time. She's a bit like Jimé Rios, but taller. You just see her walk up that wing. If once it's not there, she's like, forget it, I'm going to go up there as well and cross. And I'm going to mention again, the second goal, who provided that cross, it was Joss the boss herself. And I'm like, okay, I like this. I can dig it. The only thing is, like, yeah, we're not going to see Jimena Rios maybe in this, or because Joss has just been playing really well. But that's good. That's diversity in the position. Not only she could play as a center back, but as a left back as well. And that's always good to have. Secure 2 positions, or maybe 3, heck, even 4 on the field. If you need someone to switch around, do that. And Jocelyn, she's doing great so far. I hope to actually see her play in that left back spot more.
Yeah, I think that she's very versatile in that aspect. And, I prefer would rather see her in that center back partnership role and have Jimena Rios back. But look, it's internal competition, and it brings out the best in all these players whenever they have to fight for their spot. And so, just keep it up, keep it going. If Jocelyn's that good, then Jimena Rios has to be even better at that spot. So, we'll have to wait and see. But, who knows, Who knows? Anything else to add?
That's it, really.
Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. But look, at the end of the day, America gets the 3 points, and we're looking good in regards to this game. Now, it's been a while since we've played, AJ. It feels like it's been like weeks on weeks. It hasn't really been that long, but now it's going to be important to see what the ladies can follow up against Atlético San Luis. We'll have that preview in just a second. But again, America walks away with all 3 points in the Clásico Capitolino at home and scores on Pumas, a team that people claim to be unbreakable at the defense. But all it takes is just one own goal and then a mastery of goals afterwards. So not bad, AJ. Not bad day at the office.
Indeed. So. And for, like I said, I'm happy. That's good because like I said, I get tired of having to be like, yes, we get a victory, but there's something wrong. And then this is a game where I'm like, there isn't that much to really pick at. The only downside is just we let in a golazo at that range, but at the same time, this is the Liga MX Femenil. Goals like that are bound to happen. If it's top bins, you cannot save that. Acuna did try her best, and I'm like, you're not gonna save that. It was inevitable. I couldn't even get mad at that point. I'm like, fair play.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you mentioned it. It's a sigh of relief, and it's a much better tone that we have now, at least on this episode, and hope to continue that throughout episodes to come. But alrighty then, let's jump into our next segment. But before we do, I do want to remind everyone that today's episode is brought to you by Footcult. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys go check out footcult.com and check out some amazing gear that they have. They have this great training top of the Eagle Eye podcast. They have some new drops that they just made available to all of you, and they just got some really, really cool products. And if you guys like anything at all over on Footcult, you guys can use the discount code EEP at checkout to get 10% off. Again, that is discount code EEP at checkout to get 10% off on all Footcult products. All right. So keep an eye out, guys, because they are going to be dropping some really cool stuff, and we are lining up something pretty special with them as well. So again, discount code ready for you guys to use whenever that happens. But again, thank you to Footcult for sponsoring today's episode. All right, AJ, talk to me about Guapa News. Is Renata Masciarelli ready to start in goal? I've seen a lot of pictures of her in training, or just anything in regards to the world of America Femenil.
Yeah, so starting things off, Leonardo Guerra did say in a press conference that a bunch of players are starting to train, but one in particular is still recovering from surgery. So Vera Perez, she's already been in practice for 3 days, so hopefully we'll get to see her back on that bench soon. Fernanda Pina, she did happen to get surgery, which was, I think, last time when she suffered an injury. I think it was against Toluca, the same day that she did score a goal, which apparently she had an injury I was not aware of, actually. She got surgery now, so hopefully the recovering process is starting now. Zuba Hernandez, she's starting to get herself involved with the team more, so hopefully see her on the bench soon, because that's like one of the issues I find. When I see players' names like this, it's like, wait, they were injured since when? There was not like any notes from the club themselves, so it's kind of frustrating for me to just see, like, why can you just make a simple post saying, enter player's name here, has been injured. The injury duration will be insert days, months, or potentially a year here. It's kind of frustrating. And then Renata Masciarelli, we've seen her in training already. She's already getting stuff to fight back for that starting spot. So Natalia Acuna, better watch out, or Jay Gutierrez, keep your eyes open, because she might be taking that spot again.
Does she start on Sunday?
Sunday? Nah, I think I still have Acuna starting there. I'd say it's kind of difficult now, because the next couple of games are going to be difficult, and I don't know if you want to like put Masciarelli back in. As good as it is, but that's Acuna so far, she's starting to do well with some of her her saves in games. So who knows? See what happens. And a very important thing that I did like to see, which Club America on their official account, they say that the Club America and CONAVIM Mexico, which is the Commission National to Prevent and Eradicate Violence Against Women, that they have come in agreement for gender equality for 2021. It's pretty nice. When I read this article, they were talking a lot of things on how they met with the president of the club, Santiago Baños, and how both institutions will be having training courses to prevent a violation against women and girls, and empowerment talks and awareness campaigns for the fans. So really good things to see. And they say that it is right to eradicate violence against women, because in Mexico it's an issue, and I'm glad that they're bringing awareness to this, concerning that how some of those issues and crimes that can happen over there in Mexico against women is something that really needs to be brought awareness to. And I'd like to see how Club America and a foundation like CONAVIM are bringing awareness to just everywhere in Mexico and to the entire world and to the fans themselves, so they can be acknowledge about what is happening and learn more. And it's really just good things to see. And they also come to the agree how they're including training for members of the board, clubbers, and basic force matter in matters of gender equality and preventions of violence against women and girls, and non-sexist and inclusive languages. And it's just really just great things to see. And in a picture, you get to see Team America Femenil players and Monica Rodriguez and Yara Espinosa holding a banner that the fight against gender inequality, which is nice. And you get to see the president, Santiago Baños, in that photo as well. So it's just really great things to see. And how Santiago also put that for us, it is essential to work at the institutional level on gender equality and promote messages that contribute to a better social coexistence. We are very happy to work hand in hand with CONAVIM. We will continue to support the dissemination of these messages and of respect and inclusion, taking advantage of the deep roots of football and the affection of the greatest fans of our colors. And also starting this Saturday, they will be having, for the men and women's team, when they play their home games, they will have their numbers in purple, which is alluding to the date. And they will also have the match with commemorative canvas. So it's just really great things to see from this club and with CONAVIM.
Yeah, some really nice stuff. So shout out to them and round of applause for America for standing up for this and, like you said, bringing awareness to a very delicate subject, but a very important one at that as well. So that's great. It's always great to see when your club is trying to lead the way and try to make an impact not just in the soccer community but in the countries as well. So again, round of applause for America for doing this, and we hope that this helps fight against all the evil that is happening on against women, and some really cool stuff. But I think that wraps up the news in regards to Coapa, right?
That's everything.
Nice. Alrighty then. Well, I guess only one thing left to do, AJ, and let's preview the upcoming match against Atletico San Luis. So America will be going up against, like I just mentioned, the former Atletico San Luis away on the road on Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 Central, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So not an early game, AJ. It looks like we got, you just came back from brunch. If you're over here in the Pacific Standard Time, you just came back from brunch. You had your mimosas, and you're good to sit down and watch some America Femenil. So hopefully the game paints as well as we want it to. I think we mentioned it that this has to be a turning point. You just got a good result against Pumas, but what does that result do if you don't follow it up against Atletico San Luis? So the most important part of this is not just taking away the fact that we get a nice victory against Pumas, but it's also saying, can we do what we did against them, against Atletico San Luis, and push it forward next from the following game to the following game to the following game? And so I'm curious to hear what you think in regards to this game. How do you think the ladies are coming into this one, especially after such a big one?
They're coming up in high spirits, really. It's since actually that loss against Atlas was in the very first game. We have been actually undefeated in every single game, even though the results on paper are not the greatest results when you're seeing the ties against the team we play against. But we're undefeated. We've only had 2 draws, and we've won almost every other game except for the game against Atlas. So I feel like with this team and against the San Luis side, let's just say it's not the greatest time. It's not the greatest time for them. But hey, any team that plays against America, they're gonna play 110% because they are playing against one of the biggest teams in this league, and they're gonna go out with guns ablaze and hope they can do something to get themselves the victory. But I feel like America, if they go into this game, they're going to be pretty comfortable, even though it's an away match and our away form is not the greatest. But I feel like with the players that we have on the team, I feel like we're definitely capable of grabbing all 3 points away.
I agree with you. I think that we're more than capable. We have the talent at our disposal, and I think it's just a matter of fact of actually getting onto the pitch and having the ladies kind of repeat what they did against Pumas in that aspect. But talk to me about your predicted starting 11. I'm curious to hear who you think is going to be out on that pitch.
So starting goalkeeper, have Natalia Acuña. Back four is going to be Jocelyn Orejera, Ana Gavi, Janely Farias, Monica Rodriguez. Midfield is going to be consisted of Diana Garcia on the left, Maria Pelayo on the right, with Jennifer Munoz and Eva Gonzalez in midfield. And up front, I'm going to be having Daniela Flores, and I'm going to have Daniela Espinosa starting up again.
Interesting. No Monse.
I feel this is just a game where I feel like, no one's spot is there. I mean, if anything, it's maybe 1 or 2 spots can be swapped. So I put Jen in that midfield instead of Gas. And I want to give Diana Garcia another shot. She's proved to be good. She's versatile. She could play on the right and she could play on the left as well. And she is one of the bigger signs, I'd say, from this team that has been proven to be a good sign. I would like to see her play more. She's got the experience playing in university in Mexico, where she did play with other teammates that ended up being on the same exact team. And I just like, oh no, Guerra should just give her another shot in the starting 11. She does bring good things to this team, and she's essentially like Montse Hernandez. So it feels like when you sub Montse Hernandez out for Daniel Garcia, it's like she's kind of there still.
Interesting. Okay, well, I mean, it's not to say that this is not a bad squad, and I think overall this is more than capable of getting the job done. And so, um, I think a couple names that you mentioned there maybe still need to step up and have a big game. But overall, this is the moment where I think things potentially could start going on the up and up for the ladies. So, how do you think Cuellar is going to plant this team that you just kind of read out loud? How do you think he's going to plant them out in order to try to get the victory? Because I think a result needs to be a victory. You can't walk away with a point here and say that you did enough. So, how do you think America, plans to get all 3 points away on the road?
It seems like they need to be the ones to initiate the game off with the goal immediately and get those floodgates open, because as much as I like goals, I don't want this game to end up being like another Atletico San Luis versus Tijuana game where goals are just flying left and right because teams just forgot how to defend. And I feel like America Femenil is a team where they're definitely not going to let that happen. They want to score goals from the get-go and not allow the opposition like San Luis try to get an opportunity, because the last time we did play them, we won 3-2. It was good for us because we were winning 3-0. But then second half, we slipped up, and I felt like we were just thinking the game is in the bag, we're fine. And they almost gave us a scare in the 87th minute where they got the second goal, and we're thinking, don't tell me they're going to actually tie things up. So we want to get rid of that mentality where if we happen to get 1, 2, 3, 4, heck, even 5 goals to have, it's like, no, we're not giving up immediately. Do not allow this team to get any goals at us at all. Even shots, we can do that. Shut them down. We don't want that. We definitely don't want another scare. So I figure Mega Femenil, they just gotta play. They just gotta play their game. They gotta bring the game to San Luis. They gotta just go out there playing 110%, score goals, and essentially show this team no mercy and grab those 3 points, because these 3 points, it can make it or break it towards the very end of the season, and we definitely don't want to be dropping points away at San Luis.
I agree with you. I think that this is a game in where we have to, get off on an early start. And I know that we love that here at the Eagle Eye Podcast. We love a good early start from the team where, you try to make sure that the team you're facing doesn't settle in. You don't really give them much of a chance to kind of adapt to kind of what you're doing, and just off the get-go, take the game to them. And if the ladies can do that, I think they'll definitely throw Atletico San Luis off balance. And, they'll force a couple of mistakes here and there, which could eventually lead to a goal or two. I think the most important thing for me is I know that we will have chances. We will create chances, but will we take those chances is what I'm ultimately thinking. That's what I want to know. That's what I want to see if these ladies can maybe rectify the mistakes that they have in games past. Because you mentioned it, AJ. There's been times where we've looked very well, but we're not putting our chances away, and that's come back to bite us before. And we can't do that. We can't have that here. And I think something you mentioned too was having that winning mentality of not just because you're up by a certain amount of goals, letting go of the gas pedal. Like, you got to keep pushing it. Especially with the goal differentials that we have at the moment, the more that we can get, the better. We know that scaling this table is going to be a difficult ask, and so goals are definitely going to play an important part. And so, not just that, but I think the fact that the more goals you score, the more confidence that it kind of earns in and around the team. So, overall, just looking forward to these ladies going out and actually proving that it's not just a one-game wonder, but they can continuously do this on the pitch. And I think away on the road against San Luis will be an interesting one. But what do you think of the home team? I don't think they're going to be much of a pushover. Like you mentioned, every team likes to play at 110% against America. I think that they're capable of maybe producing 1 or 2 scares.
Yeah, no, just some of these players on this team, they have potential to really be flourishing players in this league, and who knows, maybe future stars. It's all those teams as well where it's like, it's the Liga MX Femenil. I feel like every team has those couple players where like they can be big in the future and they could be the future stars of this team, but it just seems like things aren't just rolling for them. Like, they're not getting into that good string or flow of games where they could try to do something. But like I said, San Luis, they're no pushover. I feel like as time goes by, they're getting better. They're slowly improving as a team, but you're still seeing the big weaknesses. But I never want to underestimate because, like I said, anything that plays against America, they always seem to give them a scare somehow, and then make America themselves wondering: are we going to have to fight to the brink of death and get a goal late in game, or do we have to just say we'll have to take a draw here? And a draw against opposition where you should be defeating them, you don't want that kind of feeling. But no, I feel like just some players like Estefania Izaguirre, she's a good player up front, and when you give her those opportunities to score goals, she definitely will. Kevin Resendiz and Cedali Hernandez, former America Femenil players, they seem to get something going over at San Luis, and just other players like Paola Alemán, they show promise. And then in defense, you have former Azul Femenil player, defender Brenda Garcia, which she's doing her very best to provide the defense that this San Luis side needs, because defense, it's not the name of their game. And with her in addition to that, to that back defense, it's good. And with the acquisition of Stephanie Jimenez, we know her in this league as, you know, she's pretty, but she can ball. As a goalkeeper, she is definitely capable of making great saves. And at 5'10" as well as a goalkeeper. Most goalkeepers I think in this league are maybe 5'5", 5'6", and she's one of the
that's short.
Yeah, that's why I always complain to you, like, you should save that. I'm like, dude, if you're of that height and that homie and that ball is going top ends, no, you can't.
You should still
look.
No. If you can't save that, then you chose the wrong profession.
Oh, don't you dare start. Nah. But back to his thing with Stephanie Jimenez, she's 5'10", and when she was at FC Quest, despite her team conceding a bunch of goals, I feel like in a case when people plan as a bad goalie, I personally think she's not that bad of a goalie. It's just her defense just fails her at times. She can't always be the one making these amazing saves. There's a point in time she doesn't just get frustrated with defense. She's kind of just like, what more can I do? So a player like her, she's gonna be a tough cookie to crack down and goal keeps, because she does make amazing saves from time to time. And if her defense can actually step up, and along with her just keeping her form, this can be a tough team to actually just crack down. But anything can happen in this game. It can be an off day, just like what happened against Shows, where she conceded 5 goals, which had to the point where the manager himself said, I'm going to sub you out for Heidi Gonzalez. And fun fact, when he did sub Heidi Gonzalez out for America Femenil goalkeeper, they didn't concede any more goals right there. So,
hey, just
saying.
Saying.
Like I said to Kari last time, it could have been worse.
But
yeah, But this San Luis side, who knows? They may struggle on paper, like I said. Anything that plays against America, they seem to always give them a scare somehow.
No, definitely. I think a couple players to look out for, and overall, just kind of make sure that you kind of have all your organization details kind of lined out and saying, okay, look, this is how we're going to play this game out. And so I think the team is more than capable of getting the points, and now it's just a matter of fact of actually doing it out on the pitch and well-deservedly getting them. But AJ, you spoke a little bit about some of the San Luis players. What is a player that you are watching closely this matchup that you think might be the difference maker for America?
For America, for our team?
Yeah.
I'm going to be looking at... It's tough for me to decide if I'm looking at this for this side. You know what? I want to give it to Daniela Flores. She's doing good in her ability to just create plays and give all passes to teams, but I want to see her score some goals this time. She's only had 1 goal, and when I see her celebrate, I'm like, yes, that's that confidence that you need. You got to show to why Cuellar brought you into this team in the first place, and not just because of your blue hair. Nah, you're more than just that. You're a professional soccer player. You come to play at one of the biggest teams in Mexico, and you're coming here to prove to all the fans who doubted chances that we made at first to why they brought you into this team in the first place. So I'm looking at Danny Flo right here. I want to see her score some goals into this game, and to then just show that this team is not only just pass the ball at Daniela Espinosa. No, she has another place she could look forward to give the ball to and to give all the goals if needed. Because so far, I feel like in this season, come to think of it, we're not just giving the ball all to one player. It's not like back then where we had Lucero Cuevas and Daniel Espinosa were like, okay, game plan. Give the ball to Monse, cross over Lucero Cuevas and Daniel Espinosa. They're going to score most likely. This season, it's different. I feel like everyone's just getting a goal or two. No one's really, we're not looking all onto one player where it's like, that's our go-to player. It's like, no. Anyone that is open and they have the opportunity to get themselves a shot on target, give them the ball. See what they can do. If it becomes a goal, good. If that ball gets blocked by the goalkeeper and turns into a corner, good. We're getting more opportunities, and that's what I want. But back to what we were talking. Yes, Danny Flo, she's my go-to player for this match that I'm going to be keeping an eye out in this match against San Luis.
Nice. I think Danny and Flo getting a couple goals will definitely maybe help alleviate some of that pressure of a goal scorer that they always have, but also maybe bring us a little bit more joy, because when our strikers are on form, who can complain? But for me, but for me, I think I'm giving it to Jen. I think I need her to step up big in this match, especially if she does get the starting spot. Again, she's been a little bit lackluster this season. It's not to say that she's the only one, right? But she carries such a huge kind of responsibility in and around this team, and she's such a huge figure around Coapa, and so I think that she needs to, she needs to lead the team by example. I think that she needs to go out there, play her game, do the small little things right, and eventually lead up to something big. I'm not saying that she has to go out there and score, a goal or two on Sunday, but I do want to see her kind of be more active, more on the creativity side of things, and hopefully it's going to produce to a very good game for America. So for me, Jen Munoz is definitely someone to keep an eye out for if she does end up getting the starting spot. So, AJ, anything else to talk about in regards to this game?
Who do you think the captain's going to be in this match? Because
That's a good question.
I looked at the Pumas game, and Eva Gonzalez was our captain. I'm like, that's our 8th captain. No one has held the band more than once in the rest of the scene so far. So I'm going to name the players out. I need to remember. It's been a while. Daniel Espinosa already held the Captain's Armband one. Gas Cuevas, Montse Hernandez, Eva Gonzalez, Monica Rodriguez, Janely Farias, Selene Valera. I think it was Anagawi that held it at one point. So yes. Yeah, who do you think? Yes. Yeah. So who do you think the captain's gonna be in this match? Who do you think it's gonna be?
Oh man, just for the chaos, give it to Danny Flo.
I would like that. Yo, hey, you know who I would like to see actually? Because the last captain that we had and goalkeeper was, I'm pretty sure, it was the City of Santiago. I wouldn't mind to see Acuna getting the captain's armband. It's like, hey,
no. You reserve that for when Mascherelli comes back. Reserve that for
anyone's
her.
Up for grabs for this armband. I feel like where he just holds it up is like, all right, give me a number from 1 to the amount of players on this squad. Someone's getting the captain's armband. It calls like, here, you're captain for that match. And then we try again, and then we go again next week. But come to think of it, you think this idea of switching captain's armbands is to give players confidence to say, you're the player that's going to be leading us on this pitch. You're going to give us the talk at the locker room, which sometimes it's even the other players who are usually captain, but you can give the talk in the locker room. You go onto that pitch, you got to command whichever side you are on that pitch. You're going to give kind of essentially like little pointers to your teammates. And you're the captain of that team. You're pretty much kind of like that go-to player. If someone needs to switch, it's like, hey, a little small talk for a minute. Pull them to the side. Okay, what we're going to do now. You think that's the case with this?
You know what? You bring up a really good point and a really good question, AJ. It might be that. It just might be that. Maybe he's kind of, trying to build up that confidence. But I will say this, though. I don't think it's been working. For some games, you would have been like, I don't even know if we have a captain out there. But look, I think that, it's continuously been kind of an issue. I don't know what's going on, but, we thought our captain was Danny, but I think she's definitely lost that armband. And now it's kind of up in the air to see who grabs it. And, I mean, why not give it to Eva,
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see, though. But it's interesting. Keep an eye out on that. Keep an eye on this, who's going to be captain. That's a good question. That's a good thing that you brought up. Thank you, AJ. That's some really good details right there. But, well, all that's left to do is get some scoreline predictions here. So, AJ, what is your scoreline prediction for Sunday's match against Atlético San Luis?
3-0.
3-0. Very, very much confident in this one. I like it. I like it very much. I'm going to go with a 2-0 victory. I'm going with that, a nil victory. I'm going with the clean sheet. I think that's going to help cement the defense a little bit more. And I think we have the players at our disposal to be able to get this result. No doubt about it. It's whether or not the ladies want it, And so that's that pretty much wraps it up here. And unless you have anything else to add, AJ.
Kind of think of it now. I'm curious to when we're supposed to hit that requirement for having our youth players play. Because come think of it, looking at the roster, you don't have that many. It's only Renata Huerta, Zaira Moreno, Ana Gutierrez, which I'm pretty sure she's helping out the mid, but she hasn't played in a while. Elizabeth Ramos and Camila Martinez. And I'm kind of think of it, at one point are we going to give these players the playing time, because these games are going to be tough towards the very end. So I'm just kind of like wondering when is their time to actually get some playing time.
Might be this Sunday, AJ. Might just be this Sunday. But I think the scoreline has to kind of favor it as well. So we'll see, though. But we'll keep an eye out on all that stuff. And for all that information and for much more on our ladies, make sure you guys follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Eagle Eye Podcast. And we'll have you guys covered with all things. AJ will have you guys covered minute by minute on Sunday. Again, that is at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 Central, 6 Eastern. And then, of course, you guys can catch this game live on YouTube in the Atlético San Luis official Facebook official YouTube channel. Correct, AJ?
Yep.
So you guys can check that out, and hopefully the broadcast is better than what we usually put out. So we'll have to wait and see. But I don't think it wasn't really knocked on the Pumas match, right? It was good.
It was a pretty good match. I mean, yeah, just really after we conceded that first goal was worried. But after we got 3 goals, I'm like, nah, we're fine now. I don't think I gotta worry too much now. It's in the bag, man. We got it.
We definitely did. Well, all right, AJ, that pretty much wraps it up for us here. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and thank you so much for listening in regards to all things Lady Aguilas. We'll be back next week to talk more stuff. We've had quite the week, AJ, with America stuff, whether it's Femenil or whether it's the men's. And if you thought that it was over, it's not, AJ, because we're at the Clásico Nacional next week, and we have Tijuana as well for the ladies. So plenty still to be done here at the Eagle Eye Podcast, and we just hope that all of you guys out there are enjoying the content. Again, leave us a like, leave us a review on the podcast, whether it's Spotify, whether it's iTunes, wherever it is that you may be listening to us, muchly greatly appreciated. But that pretty much wraps it up for us here. AJ, again, thank you so much for taking the time out of the day, and to all our amazing listeners, viewers, and followers, thank you again. And also to our sponsors, Foot Cult, for making this a possibility. You guys have a wonderful night. You guys have a wonderful day. We'll see you guys again next week, and of course, please take care, wear your mask, and see you guys in a little bit. Until next time, take care, and as always, Arriba America. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was another production of the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 source for all things Club America in English. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Eagle Eye Podcast and get all the latest news and coverage. And subscribe to our podcast wherever it is you may listen.